Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'll be playing the Qualifier Play-In event. This is going to be a Baldur's Gate sealed event. It'll be best of one, playing until 6 wins or 2 losses, whichever comes first. The grand prize for this event is going to be an entry into the Qualifier Weekend next Saturday. And that is going to be a 2-day event where the first day is sealed again, unfortunately, but if you manage to win the day 1 sealed event, you get to play the day 2 draft event, which should be really fun. I really like draft a lot. I love high stakes draft. Sealed is a format I enjoy a decent amount, but I really dislike high stakes sealed. I don't know, it's just not my cup of tea, but if it's what we gotta play to try to get to the high stakes draft, then so be it. I am going to make my best attempt today. Just gonna play one of these qualifier play-in events today. There's another qualifier play-in event next Friday if we don't get in today, so no massive pressure. And even then, not the biggest deal ever if we don't get in. I'm not exactly a professional player or anything, so without further ado, let's bust open our sealed pool and see what we get. Alright, the sealed pool is all over the place, unfortunately, so we're pretty much just going to play one rare, most likely. I guess we could play Astarion and Clement, but Clement is far superior to Astarion. Clement is a 2-mana creature that gives all of your creatures in your hand +1/+1, and a lot of the versions that Clement flips into are incredibly powerful. If you flip white, then Clement is going to be a lifelinker that gives another creature in your hand lifelink. If you flip blue, you're going to be seeking a non-land card of your choice out of 3. If you flip black, you're getting a couple 2/2s. You flip red, you get a double striker that deals damage whenever it's dealt damage. And if you flip green, you just get a couple 4/4s. Clement is pretty absurd. One of the strongest specialized cards on the backside there. Raphael's pretty fun. 5-mana 4/4 flyer that buffs all of your demons, devils, imps, and tieflings, and gives you a 1/1 devil at the beginning of each end step if a creature was put to a graveyard from anywhere. Into your graveyard from anywhere, specifically. So Raphael's also quite good. And then after that, we get to the next best rares, which are probably, maybe even the Yuan-Ti Scale Shield. Just the little heroic reinforcements kind of card. Give your whole field hexproof indestructible, so save them from any kind of removal, and potentially even seek a creature if your opponent casts a cheap removal spell and you're countering it with this. So this card's pretty good because of that possibility where if they cast a cheap removal spell and you counter it, you get a big 2-for-1. Yeah, and then after that we get to some pretty mediocre rares. Astarion's like fine, but it's a 6-mana 4/4 Death Touch lifelink with no way to protect itself, no way to get any form of evasion to break through large board states. But Astarion's ability is really what tries to carry you here. If you have other flyers on the board, other evasive creatures, then you can have Astarion chipping in for that extra damage you need to finish the game, making your opponent lose life equal to the amount of life they lost this turn. Or if you have a bunch of other life gainers, you can start doubling up your life gain. Astarion's really not anything that special. And then Baba Lysaga is kind of similar. It just takes a lot of setup, not generally going to pop off that much. A 4-mana 4/4, you can tap and sacrifice up to 3 permanents. And if the 3 permanents were 3 different card types, or just 3 or more card types, then each opponent loses 3 life, you gain 3 life, and you draw 3 cards. So the best way to do this is if you have like an artifact creature on board, then you sacrifice an artifact creature and a couple lands, gain 3 life, draw 3 cards because you've sacked an artifact creature and a land card. And then last but definitely least is Mirror of Life Trapping. This card's just weird, fun, silly shenanigans for multiplayer pretty much, where every time people are casting creatures, they get exiled into the mirror until another creature is cast, and then that creature gets exiled into the mirror and the other creature comes back. Weird card. Not really going to work in 1v1 limited. So let's take a look through our sealed pool here. I'm going to start off with the multicolored cards and the colorless cards potentially. So we've got Astarion, we've got Lozan, which is pretty powerful if we have a lot of dragons. Every time we're casting a dragon, we get to use them as like a removal spell, dealing damage to any targets. There's Raphael, there's Baba Lysaga, and there's Kaga, Shadow Archdruid. Kaga's pretty slow, but she could be relatively solid. It's going to be a Death Toucher. But you could potentially cast permanents if you milled them. Seems okay, but very slow. And then for our colorless cards, there's really nothing special. There's one Lantern of Revealing if we're trying to go for some kind of 3-color deck. All right. Nothing crazy in our multicolored and colorless, that's for sure. So let's take a look at our white, because that looked like the best color because of Clement. And it looks like the best color in terms of the quality of our commons as well. We have Patriarch's Humiliation, which is a great cheap removal spell in any deck that has a solid curve of cheap creatures. And luckily for us, it looks like we've got that curve of cheap creatures. We have the Steadfast Unicorn on turn 1. Excellent 1-drop. This is a 1-drop that lets you curve out aggressively early game and also gives you something big to do late game. So it really solves the problem that you have with your early game creatures where they can just be dead draws later in the game where they don't do very much for you. Well, with this, if you draw it later in the game where you have, 8 lands on board, it's gonna give your whole field +2/+2 vigilance every turn, which is huge. So Steadfast Unicorn's great. Dawnbringer Cleric's pretty filler. Especially in a more aggressive deck, which looks like what we're going to try to do here. So I don't love putting the Dawnbringer Cleric in, but Flaming Fist Duskguard, a 3/1 that gives your next creature +1/+0. Sign me up in an aggressive strategy. Clement, sign me up in any strategy. Triple Steadfast Paladin, get in here. Impossible to race this card until you have just like bigger creatures than it, because you're just going to keep gaining life while you're hitting your opponent. Your opponent is just hitting back. Steadfast Paladin is just great. Oh my god, yeah, our white is excellent, and our curve is so cheap too. We get to get really aggressive here. I am loving the sealed pool, actually. This is like the kind of thing I would have loved to draft. If I ended a draft with, maybe even these here, something on watches, maybe the Rescuer Twing and the Guiding Bolt potentially. If I ended a draft with this as my pile of white cards, like, I would be pretty dang happy, and we just got it in a sealed pool. So that is just a great aggressive curve, not the kind of thing you see that often in sealed. Chwinga's probably the most awkward one here. We don't have a lot of good enter the battlefield effects to try to reuse, and Chwinga's not exactly a 2-drop because we're going to want to wait later for the Chwinga, but still probably good enough here. It's really good against opponents who are trying to play cards like Minimus Containment and Charmed Sleep, because then whenever you draw the Chwinga, you're saving your creature from that removal spell, even if it's 4 turns after they cast that removal spell. Yeah, so Rasad is excellent, exiling an opposing creature till Rasad leaves the battlefield, and having specialized versions that are quite powerful again. Priest of Ancient Lore is wonderful, one of the best white commons. Gains a life, draws a card when it hits the board, immediately replaces itself in value. Then we have a couple something on Watchers, which are fine. They can be a big combat trick or a removal spell against a good attacking creature if you need that. Then Guiding Bolt and Minimus Containment are fine as well. Just more straight up removal. Might not play the Guiding Bolt, that might be a little too narrow. But yeah, I think I really like the rest of the white to the point where I'm literally not even going to cut it, because I think it's pretty much impossible that we end up not playing white when we see that out of our white cards. Let's take a look at blue here, and we'll just look at them up here because it's pretty unlikely I want to play blue. Blue is pretty much my least favorite color in the format, so I need a real good reason to hop into a blue deck here. And I don't see a great one. We have Charmed Sleep, which is pretty mediocre removal, but blue just doesn't have good removal in the format. Best card we've seen so far is probably Soul Knife Spy, maybe Pseudo Dragon Familiar, but both are just okay. Alora's not very good because she's incredibly slow. You have to return your creature to your hand every time you attack with an unblockable creature. We have Mist Dragon. Mist Dragon's our biggest reason to be in blue, but it's not a big enough reason to me to have a deck with all of these other mediocre blue cards just to play one Juvenile Mist Dragon, so it seems like we're not going that direction. In black, I already see some excellent stuff. Double Sepulchre Ghouls, good for any aggressive deck, and we are definitely aggressive. Bonecaller Cleric as well is nice in any deck that has bombs. This can return your flipped Clement from your graveyard to the battlefield. So if we specialize Clement to like white-black or something, I guess Clement is not very good to bring back from the grave if it's on white-black. But if we'd specialize to white, 3/3 lifelink, yeah, I guess we don't really have any bombs to return with Bonecaller Cleric, but I have many times before just sacrificed a Bonecaller Cleric just to bring back a Priest of Ancient Lore and been pretty happy with it. So Bonecaller Cleric would probably go in here. The Horde Robbers are fine, although if our curve stays this low, they're not going to be necessary, and I would prefer creatures with higher mana, because we just won't really use the treasure tokens much with a curve this low. Grave Choice is great as removal in an aggressive deck, because this is just going to get one of your opponent's creatures off the board if you just cast this in the early game, and if it kills one of their creatures that costs 3 or more mana, you're just like, alright, that's pretty good, unless it was like a Priest of Ancient Lore. But most creatures that cost 3 or more, if they sacrifice that, you're happy. And then if they sacrifice a cheap one, now you're casting it against them and just getting more stuff on board. I do like Grave Choice for this kind of deck. Grey Slat I don't like too much. We need to trade a lot of creatures off for this to be good. You need that 4 more creatures in Grave, because a 3 mana 4/1 is very bad. It'll trade into a Saproling token at that rate. It'll trade into any 2-drop in the game. Not great. Not what you want off of your 3-drop. Nefarious Imp's pretty good in this kind of aggressive strategy, because we're going to be trading creatures a lot to get that scry. Plus this is evasion to help you chip in for that last few bits of damage. So once your opponent plays creatures that are too big for your ground troops to get in, you can keep getting in the sky. Vampire Spawn is quite nice in pretty much any deck. Chain Devil, I don't think we'd play Chain Devil here. The ideal deck for a Chain Devil in this format is a deck that has a lot of double team, because that way your double team cards are giving you those extra creature cards to put on the board that aren't very valuable single-handedly, so that you just sacrifice something you double teamed and then your opponent has to sacrifice something pretty good. With our deck currently, most of what we would sacrifice is something actually pretty decent, like, you know, a 2/2 lifelinker or 3/1 attack or something like that. So I don't love the Chain Devil here. Definitely don't like the Triple Manticore card, just never lines up quite well during combat. And then we have a Black Dragon. Ooh. Black's actually pretty exciting. Double Sepulchre Ghoul, Bonecaller Cleric, Grave Choice, Imp Spawn, and then Black Dragon is probably what we would play, going white-black. Probably do like that. And then I guess we need to play one more card, so we'd throw like a Summon Undead in, so maybe we could hit Black Dragon off of it, or we'd throw in like one of these Horde Robbers, maybe this one Grey Slab, maybe the one Chain Devil, because we don't have any 4 mana cards right now. But yeah, white-black seems like a solid aggressive way to go here. Moving on to red, which could be a very exciting color for us, because the red version of Clement is one of the best. The 2/3 double striker that deals damage when it's dealt damage. So let's see what we have in red here. Looks like a lot of red cards, so this could be good. Double Dragon's Fire is already very exciting. 2 mana at instant speed for 3 damage to a creature or planeswalker. Rabble Rouser is one of the best red commons. A 2 mana creature with double team, that incredible mechanic that also has the fire breathing, that mana sink ability, so later in the game it still trades up into your opponent's creatures, so that's great. Triple Barbarian are fine filler creatures if we need them, but we're currently looking at a deck with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 2-drops, so we don't need them. Come to the Null Camp is a whatever combat trick. Unexpected Allies doesn't work too well, or hasn't worked too well for me in the past. It just hasn't lined up to where I want to cast it. I've drawn it a lot in my hand and just not had a good opportunity to play it. Breath Weapon seems like it kills too much of our stuff. We're probably not main decking that in a deck this aggressive. We could definitely play the Craving of Yenogu, because we can slap that onto one of our 3 Steadfast Paladins to just get massive lifelink swings. So if we have room in the non-creature slot, we'll play Craving of Yenogu. It'd be fun. Valor Singer is definitely a good red card. Always happy with this. It's going to make your 2 mana creatures trade up into your opponent's 3 mana creatures. You know, your opponent gets into a board state where now they have all 3/3s and 4/3s and stuff, and you're stuck with a board full of 2/2s. If you have a Valor Singer, now you get to start attacking with one of those 2/2s every turn as a 3/2, and your opponent no longer gets to block so well. We have Null Hunting Party, which is great if you're getting really aggressive in the early game, which is what we're looking to do here. So this should be cheaper, and then it's going to be a big first striker during our turn that can double team. So that's quite good. We could play the 1 Fireball, that seems fine. 1 Improvised Weaponry. Just some more filler cards. Maybe even the Young Red Dragon for just kind of a flyer to try to close out the game. Yeah, we do want to up that creature count. It's actually kind of low here, 13 creatures still. So I guess we're playing the Young Red Dragon, and then maybe a Barbarian actually over a Fireball or Weaponry, because we do need more creatures pretty badly, and our white creatures are really mediocre. So we play, yeah, I think we play like a Barbarian here as the last card. Then we're playing 14 creatures, still pretty low for an aggressive deck, but starting to get there. Alright, so my biggest downside to the red-white deck is that our creature count's actually pretty low. I guess that's kind of just because of the white I don't know, we'll see how green looks. Green looks solid. Got a gate, which is always good. A land that's going to help you get a non-land card later if you're flooding out. Couple Null Hunters, couple Jahiras for main deckable artifact and enchantment removal, that's good. The Scale Shield to counter a removal spell from our opponent and potentially seek another creature out of our deck. And then I don't think we need the Myconid, but it is just a really good card. We're not ramping up that high here in this deck, we're being pretty aggressive, but I still would probably rather play it than Shepherd. We definitely would play Owlbear and Hill Giant Herdgorger, those are great. Actually, green looks pretty nice here, and it's exactly what we're missing out on. We just wanted more creatures, and green provides. Green is like just a stack of creatures, really. Our only non-creature green card just sucks. Split the Spoils. Doesn't really work till quite late in the game. So I'm actually a pretty big fan of this green-white looking build. It's still very aggressive. We've got our 1 Myconid to help hit our 1, 5, and 6 drop. We could even just cut a land here probably and put in another creature or something, because our curve is so low. There's so many 2 drops here. 2.4 average, yeah. What would we put in place of a land? That's the question. Just another Shepherd, I guess? Another filler creature of some kind, a Bard. Green-white is looking pretty spicy. I like that a lot. But I think I want another look at red-white first real quick. Although the green-white version of Clement is still pretty strong. Flip Clement into 2 4/4s. I guess it's 1 4/4 and then another 4/4 when Clement dies. It's not as strong as I thought, but it is solid. It's quite solid. Yeah, I'm going to take another look at red-white and then see if there's a way to get that creature count up, because I love how aggressive it looks. I love the double Dragon's Fire, the Rabble Rouser. So I'm going to see if there's a way to get this creature count up in this color pair. Probably not play the Craving, actually, because I don't have as much room for non-creature spells as I thought I did. Yeah, you can get we can definitely get the creature count up here in red-white. It's definitely more aggressive, and then we get to pretty easily cut a land for this color pair, because our most expensive card is cheaper based on how many creatures we're attacking with, and we have tons of 2-mana creatures to make sure this is going to be real cheap. We're just really clearing the board with Humiliation, Dragon's Fire, Guiding Bolt, Containment. Really getting things out of the way here. I really like just how aggressive this Boros deck looks for sealed. I think I want to do this. Because yeah, now we upped the creature count a lot this time by not putting in like Blessing of Yanogu and Fireball or any of that. We just put in only the Dragon's Fire and then a bunch of creatures. This looks really good to me. I think I like this more than the green-white build, and I think it's what I'm going to go with here. Just an aggressive Boros deck. And I'm pretty happy with how this looks. Again, this looks pretty close to a draft deck. Our red stuff isn't quite as good as our white stuff, where our white stuff just straight up looks like I would be happy to have draft that. With red, I really, really like the red double teamers like Genasi, Rabble Rouser, and the Fire Beetles, giant Fire Beetles. So not having like 2 Rabble Rousers and like 1 Fire Beetles or something. Definitely looks less like I would have ended up drafting this red pile, but it's still pretty close, still pretty strong. Double Dragon's Fire, 1 Rabble Rouser, still an excellent start there. 1 Valor Singer is always good. 1 Null Hunting Party. I like this deck. We are just going to aggressively beat some people up here. I think I'm going to go for it. Alright, so here we are with the final deck I will be playing for this qualifier playing event. This is a really aggressive Boros deck. We have tons of just good aggressive 2-drops like Duskguard, Clement, Rescuer Tringa, Triple Steadfast Paladin, and Rabble Rouser. Some filler ones like Barbarian just to get that creature count up nice and high for the aggressive strategy. some of the like premium aggro cards. Again, Steadfast Unicorn's quite great. Priest and Rasad are excellent. Valor Singer's pretty good. But yeah, triple Steadfast Paladin, Clement, and Duskguard are the really premium aggro cards. And if you look at our non-creature spells here, every single one is just a removal spell to try to get things out of the way and keep the aggro beats on. Double Humiliation, double Dragonfire, Minimus Containment, and Guiding Bolt for the bigger creatures from our opponents. And a couple you hear something on Watch that we can use as a combat trick or a removal spell if our opponent manages to get on the offensive. So really like this deck here. I would prefer more good big creatures in these triple paladins, but it's sealed. We can't get really picky. We didn't manage to open up any really bigger creatures in these two colors. We're playing every single red creature actually, so the only option would be cut one barbarian for one Flaming Fist Officer, and I just don't think Flaming Fist Officer is very good, so I'm not going to do that here. So these are just the creatures we had the options of playing, so the curve does end up a little weird, a little awkward, definitely more so than in draft where you can really control that, but still pretty excellent looking overall, and I'm very happy to see how it performs as we head into the gameplay. Alright, here we are, game 1, definite mulligan, unfortunately. This is much better. If you've seen our deck's curve, the majority of our deck costs 3 mana or less, so I'm tempted to get rid of a land, but I should probably get rid of You Hear Something on Watch. Play it nice and safe. Is our opponent on the play? I think our opponent's on. I'm going to get rid of a land. I'm taking that greed. Oh, we're on the play. Alright. If our opponent was on the play, I think it would actually be fine to put away the land, but now it is actually kind of greedy. I'm still okay with it, but I probably shouldn't be. Another Hear Something on Watch. Get in there, Unicorn. And there's our Paladin. Soldiers of the Watch. I would love to kill that thing before it double teams, but I can't. My removal in hand are my only 2 removal spells that I can't play right now. But I guess I have 3 mana removal. They're just the only removal spells that I have to wait till they're attacking to cast, so the only removal spells that cannot stop a double team creature, which is definitely unfortunate. Portable Hole. Alright. Exile our Paladin, I guess. They just exile the Barbarian because they think we have 4-drops. We don't, so that's very okay by me. Deck is like all 3 and less, so you can take my my Barbarian. Dawnbringer Cleric. That is quite annoying. 1/3 blocker there. Don't really want to play Rasad on creatures this week right now. Send in the team, it looks less suspicious that way, and then we can Hear Something on Watch to get this 3 toughness blocker out of the way. Alright, not if they do that. But that's fine. Yeah, if they put the Cleric on the Paladin, we Hear Something on Watch. Otherwise, we just damage them a bit. That's also cool. Trelasara, that is a card I would like to Rasad. I think our opponent is white, black, and green. And Soldiers of the Watch is coming down. Get in there. Alright, Valor Singer's fine, but I'm just going to go for combat here. Here's something on Watch if I need to, and if not, we'll play Rasad. Either way, we're killing their board state. Little. Well, this is going to be beautiful. Really good stuff. From our trick. Kill both the creatures without losing any of our own. Opponent is down to 3 cards in hand. They're going to band together to kill the Steadfast Paladin. That's down to 2 cards now. Alright, none of these creatures are big enough to need to Rasad, and we're still at 19, so I'm just going to play Valor Singer and get some more damage in. Hit for 2 here. They should be down to 14. Yep. So we're at 19, they're at 14. We both have the same number of cards in hand, but they have more lands on board. And they just dropped a bomb rare. Shadowheart Sharon Cleric is a big, big, big problem. They can't specialize it until they have 13 life or less, but they can definitely specialize it next turn, because in their end step it'll do 1 damage to each player. And if they specialize it on black, it'll be a 4/4 Death Touch lifelinker. Really big deal that is going to completely undo all the progress we've made aggressively here. And then they also have other versions they can choose. They can get 2/2 Knights, or they're green. That is way too much to read. They can just make Shadowheart a really big, hard to block creature, I guess. What trick could this be here? +3/+3, I guess? Still a 1-for-1 trade. We trade our Valor Singer into their trick. Let's see what weirdness they can think. I can't think of an adventure that they can cast right now where I'd get 2-for-1. All I can think of are like 1-for-1 tricks. I guess they could have the +2/+0 and draw a card. That would be bad for me. But that's about it. It's not the end of the world either. Yeah. Just gonna hope they have like the +3/+3 or some stuff. Okay, yeah, that's a 1-for-1. Trade our Valor Singer into their Armor of Shadows. Now they can't give Shadowheart Indestructible later. I think I have to just Rasad Shadowheart just immediately and then pass the turn. Don't like that they can just blow up Rasad if they draw any removal, but I think that's where I'm at. And I guess if they ever do blow up Rasad, we still have the You Hear Something on Watch to kill Shadowheart if it ever tries to attack. Feeling okay here if our opponent doesn't draw into removal. Drawing into Priest of Ancient Lore is pretty powerful. But we have one too. We just don't have the mana to utilize it as well. So we'll have to spend our whole turn doing that. What on earth is this thing? This thing's never played. Equipped creature gets +0/+2, protection from demons and devils. Whenever it attacks, it gets +1/+0. It has the same name as another creature you control or a creature in your grave. So it slowly but surely makes a creature with double team better, basically. Or if they have duplicates, so just Soldiers of the Watch. They put that on the soldiers and it's going to start slowly getting bigger and better. Pretty fine. Gonna attack us 3 the first time? Oh, or they're just gonna make a really big Dawnbringer Cleric. And really have the blocks set up. You have another one in their grave? No? That's just a 1/5, okay. How bad is it for me if Unicorn dies? Not as bad as if Rasad dies. You don't really have the mana to use its ability willy-nilly here. So if they're going to spend a trick to kill Unicorn, that's one less card they have to kill Rasad. And they did. Goodbye, set off traps. You hear something on Watch there. 5 mana to specialize this? Perfect. So now we can just make sure their Shadowheart never comes back. And that's what I'm going to do. If you specialize to white, Rasad becomes a 4/4. And the creature that you exiled under it, if it comes back as a 1/1 with no text at all. I'll send in Rasad here. I'm cool with the 2-for-1 trade. They get their 1/1 back, so it's not quite a 2-for-1, but all they're getting is a 1/1. So it's still fine by me. 1/1 with 0 text. Drawn into a Lurking Roper. Big old blocker. Big old blocker. We are not breaking through that thing. Top deck board is. Time for us to just stare at each other until someone draws the card that wins the game. My favorite part of Magic. What on earth is this about? Just find out. Is it just taking 5? Just fine. It's just a vampire spawn. They just wanted to get in for some damage. Alright. Do untap Roper with that. Might have to blow up Roper. Didn't blow it up there because they were going to need life gain to untap it. Now I can kill it with Guiding Bolt, and I still have you hear something on Watch Mana here. It's probably stronger to rouse the party than set off traps here. Give my board +1/+1, because then I can kill spawn and block cleric without losing a creature. Whereas if I just set off traps, I just kill spawn. Just whatever. We get to Scry now. Barbarian and Minimus Containment. I'll take Containment, but Barbarian's not very high impact. Can resolve that. Block. Block. This plays worse if they've drawn into a trick, but it's better if they haven't. Because we stop all the damage and kill the spawn. Alright, just a land. Heads to our turn. There's our Minimus Containment. I don't feel the need to containment a 1/5, so we'll just start racing. We take 1 every turn, they take 4 every turn. We catch up in this race pretty quickly. Alright, another land. They're going to hit us for 1. Pass the turn. I should have played the Plains. If I draw into Clement, Clement is stronger red-white than just white. So I want to hold a mountain in hand to specialize Clement. Humiliate my priest. Sad day for the priest. Sad day for the priest. Oh, we're still winning the race. And we have the containment for the first creature they top deck. And a land is the draw for them. Rescuer Chwinga is fine. Shambling Ghast, that's annoying. Because that trades into a 2/2. Oh, you know what we can do? I know we're getting less aggressive this way, but I think it's worth doing it this way, where I attack, they block with gas, they try to kill Barbarian, then I pick up Barbarian. Because we're only taking 1 a turn. I think we're under a small enough amount of pressure to just try to leverage every card we have into as much card advantage as possible to make the gap between what we can do and what our opponent can do as wide as possible. No. Resolve that and pick it up. Jesus, Arena. Please don't sacrifice my 2/2. Alright. Yeah, because now we have 4 cards and they just have like 1 on the top. Well, they've got the cleric and then the 1 off the top each turn. Okay, so they can block 1 of our creatures each turn. Now we have Dragon's Fire and Humiliation. I think I'm safe to just containment this thing because they have other removal. You know, unless they play some big... it'd have to be more than 5 toughness to not die. Because I can double spell on their next creature. Yeah, I think I containment this cleric. Deadly Dispute. Alright. I'm surprised they didn't immediately sacrifice the mace during their turn. I definitely would have. Mace has not been playing out super hot for them. Sepulchre Ghoul. Alright, hello 2-2. I can Dragon's Fire that and attack for 4. Lethal on board. Yep, lethal on board, and they are going to scoop them up. Pretty great stuff from the Boros aggro deck. Pretty unfortunate stuff from their mace there. Alright, here we are in game 2. We have a turn 1 Steadfast Unicorn, a turn 2 Clement with no creatures to give +1/+1 to, but maybe we'll draw well. We are on the draw this game, so if we draw a couple creatures in a row, this hand gets way better. But the hand is still good, even if Clement gives nothing in our hand +1/+1. Clement threatens to turn into an absolute monster. And we've got 2 removal spells. So, it's a definite keeper, and I'm not just going to sit here and wait and get greedy with Clement trying to put extra +1/+1s onto our next creatures. We're just going to slam Clement turn 2, as you should. It's going to be all mana for us. Really unfortunate. I would actually be okay with drawing another mountain here to flip Clement red. Red Clement is so powerful. I don't think I play the mountain this turn. But I'm not sure if I'm supposed to get so greedy where I flip Clement red. Because then we don't have a red source if we draw any of our red cards. Which we have like 10 of or something. There are 9 red cards in the deck. Underseller Myconid. So obnoxious. This card is just the bane of your resistance when you're trying to do aggro. It's going to ramp your opponent up into much stronger plays than you can play, while also just giving chump blockers out the wazoo. I'm getting greedy. This might get me killed, but this gives me actual like attacks for a while. Yeah, we're gonna hit for 4. They're probably just gonna immediately removal spell Clement now. Yeah, it's like we don't need the 5th land at all. We just need the red source if we hit a red card. So it's really awkward we didn't have 2 mountains there. That would have been perfect. Then it would have been really easy to just be like, yeah, I'll just discard a mountain. It's whatever. So there's an OG gaining them 2 life, scrying 2. With you hear something on watch, they still definitely can't kill Clement on blocks. So we can just send in again this turn. Actually, we even have Steadfast Unicorn as an on-board trick, which people can run into sometimes. We just send in Clement, we're killing their 1/1 Saproling, and then maybe we Minimus Containment something post-combat. God. Dang it. I forgot how good Myconid is, and I was giving them extra mana. Well, we hit the red source, so at least I think flipping Clement worked pretty well for us. We hit them for 4, we got rid of one of their removal spells. Yeah, so with how we drew, if we were omnipotent and we knew the exact future, flipping Clement was our best play. So things worked out as good as they could for us, but it's still pretty badly because his Myconid now flickered and got another 1/1. But it's the best we've got here. Could contain OG so they can't flicker Myconid anymore in the future. But I think against a green deck I have to preserve containment. So I don't just die to a Herd Gorger or something. This is looking pretty bad. Oh my god, yeah. This is as bad of a matchup as there can be for an aggro deck. Opponent spits out all the tokens to block and then just gets multiple 2 and 3 for 1s. It's just like, yeah, Priest of Ancient Lore, I'll get a 2/1 and I'll draw a card and I'll flicker and I'll draw another card and I'm gaining 2 life at the time. This is... honestly, even with the perfect hand from our deck, this is looking like an unwinnable matchup. A 6 sealed pool from our opponent. Now we can resod somebody, so we're actually still putting something on the board. While I get rid of one of their cards, so I will get rid of OG now. I was going to say, them OGing for another 1/1 every turn isn't that bad, but them OGing for gain a life and draw a card every turn is very bad. So now OG is incredibly important. Now that they hit a Priest of Ancient Lore alongside it. Send in the 3/1. Sure. A Hippogriff in your Bant deck as well? That would be disgusting. They don't have the Hippogriff, so the trade is fine. We're at a high enough life total, we didn't need to trade there. Might have just been better not to, because we can't get a really wide board, we're just never breaking through. Good lord, they're gonna gain another life and draw another card off the Priest. Pretty much disregard any plays I make for the rest of this game because they're all irrelevant. This is just not a winnable matchup. Oh my god, that is a sick pool. Multiple Priests of Ancient Lores with OG and Icewind Stalwart in the sealed pool. I'm so tempted to scoop right now. It's gonna take me a while to die, but it's gonna be annoying. Flip Prasad to white. No, I don't have expendable cards to discard. Alright. We're just gonna chill out here. We're gonna hang out, talk about our feelings. We'll play it out. We're not winning this game, though. So how have you all been? I hope you've had a good last couple weeks and having a pretty good month. Been hitting pretty much daily uploads on YouTube, which is nice. Getting a lot of support from you all, so I appreciate that a lot. Did a little bit of live streams as well. That was pretty fun. This format's been enjoyable. I like drafting it a lot. I just am not a fan of sealed in general in any format. Sealed's pretty whatever to me. We're very dead here. Not on board, just in general. Are they gonna set off traps or something here? Or buff the whole field, I don't remember what it's called. Rouse the party. Okay, I'm actually done now. I'm not dealing with Priest of Ancient Lore number 3. No longer interested in playing it out. Alright, here we are on the play with a turn 2 Clement. Very down for that. Opponent is on red and they start with a turn 1 Cobalt Warcaller. Alright. It's gonna be a matchup. Aggro mirror time. See what they've got for us on turn 2. They are Boros. They're just gonna pass the turn. They're holding up a potential set off traps to blow up our Clements. It's not actually the biggest deal in the world if they kill Clement before we commit a card to specializing them. Alright, and they aren't holding that up. They might just not have a turn 2 play. If they don't, they just create a treasure token with the Young Red Dragon Adventure. Cool. Next turn, if we just draw a land, we're probably just flipping Clement. Because our hand is just all 3 mana removal spells, don't really need a 5th mana. I guess even if we just draw a 4th removal spell, we're probably still just flipping Clement. It's Get in with a 3/3 lifelinker, make it harder for them to race us. They might blow up Clement right now. We'll see. If they have red removal, it's going to be instant speed for sure, so they can just wait till we try to specialize and then blow Clement up. Being able to use instant speed removal in response to someone trying to specialize is always quite the beating. Nope, just Minimus Containment on Clement, that's fine. We can use that treasure if we need, but we'll probably try to hold on to it in case we draw into Rescuer Chwinga at some point. Can humiliate their Kobold Warcaller, but it's already given 2 of their creatures haste, so I don't think it really matters. Rather save all our removal. They're down to 13. 4/4 Valor Singer just putting in work. Chipping away at their life total. 1 decently sized swing at a time. See what they have for us on their turn 4. If they play a 4th land, they have 5 mana up. Not if it's a tapped land. That is a great land. They're going to Craving of Yinogu on Kobold Warcaller. That's incredibly fine by me. Even if I humiliate the Warcaller, the Yinogu can get recast from the grave. But if they want to lock it in and just make a single 4/3 on board, pretty okay with that. Actually, now I could Guiding Bolt and still hold up Humiliation in the future. That way I get to scry and see if I get to draw some good cards here. That doesn't feel worth it. I think we're just letting this be a derpy little must attack Warcaller. I'm gonna play this mountain so that I can cast Humiliation without cracking my treasure token again in case I draw the Rescuer Chwinga. Take another 4 down to 12. Improvised Weaponry, the Young Red Dragon, okay. We're still winning the race, I don't know what our opponent's plan is here, but I guess we'll find out. Horn of Valhalla to create 2 1/1s, and they can equip that for a decent amount. It'll cost them most of their mana to play around with, though. I guess they get to trump our Valor Singer. That's a problem. I mean, at this point, probably do have to Containment the Warcaller. Getting a couple trump blockers has changed things enough. Maybe I still would rather Guiding Bolt it than Containment it. Get that scry. Guess this is worse if they have a Hippogriff in hand. But they do not. That scry was very good. Get that out of here. Priest of Ancient Lore. The enter the battlefield effect goes on the stack. Even if I respond with Humiliation, the effect still resolves because it already went on the stack. So I can't turn off its abilities before they get to gain a life, draw a card off of it, as much as I wish I could. They have 1 card in their hand now, 2 adventures, and 1 Craving of Yinogu in the graveyard. Their creature that's on an adventure can't block, so if we can deal with the board state. Oh, okay. That is not what you want to see. We're probably going to humiliate Priest and Containment Liara. We're definitely going to Containment Liara. I guess we might just not have to humiliate Priest, though. Ooh, Dragon's Fire? Now I can just Dragon's Fire, but that's also an instant, so it's probably better to Containment and hold up the instant speed Dragon Fire for the next threat. Jump with the 1/1. Now we have Humiliation and Dragon's Fire to use at instant speed in response to whatever they try to put the Yunogu onto, so we get the Yunogu to where it's really bad. Currently, Yunogu, after they recast it, is going to give +1/+0 in haste. Battlecry Goblin, we need to kill that before they get any tokens off of it. They'd have to double pump it to try to get tokens, which would require them sacrificing their treasure token. So we wait until they buff it enough to get a goblin. Yeah, they have to do +2/+0 haste. Okay, so they're just not going to do it this turn. Cool. Just play a young red dragon. Okay, pass turn. We Dragon's Fire the Battlecry Goblin. It's the worst card for us to have to deal with later. The biggest deal. Priest of Ancient Lore, let's go! We get to cast the Priest of Ancient Lore this time. Now Patriarch's Humiliation does 2, which is enough to kill Young Red Dragon. They only have an equipment in hand and an aura engrave. Devoted Paladin is the play. Humiliate Young Red Dragon before that ability resolves. They can give the Paladin haste though, but we can't kill the Paladin, we can only do 2 damage. Yeah, Paladin off the top's a really big deal. That's gonna be a 5/4 haste. That's really bad. This is the best thing we can do, is kill the dragon here. Not take that dragon damage. And we trade into Priest if they attack with it. Trying to give it an additional toughness? It won't. It'll have -2/-2. Snap trade. Snap trade. Oh my god, Rasad off the top? Never didn't have it. They're not dead, but they go to 2 life. And now they need to kill Rasad. Next turn we get to flip Rasad, specialize on white, so that even if they kill Rasad, they just get a 1/1 back. Just a land off the top from our opponent. All they've got's an equipment in hand, so they have to use that gate to the Citadel, see if they can get a 2-drop that'll save them, or a 3-drop. Past the turn, they might try to do an instant speed Dragon's Fire here. So I specialize before I do anything. So we get to see before we go into combat if they have the Dragon's Fire to use on Rasad. They do. So that's why we do that pre-combat, because if we go into combat, they kill Rasad, get their 4/4 back, and kill our Valor Singer. They can't afford to attack or they die on the crackback, so if they put their Craving on Paladin, it's just... they're dead. So they just play their equipment and equip it, or whatever they top decked. See if that's good enough. Whatever they have, it must be some kind of action. This is an easy no block. Because now if that card's not a creature, they just die. And if it is a creature, Then they die to removal. But it's a creature that can pick up a card, which means they get to pick up Liara and recast it. Oh my god, are we about to lose the most banger top deck they could possibly have? We might be. Pick up Liara, cast Liara. Now they have 2 blockers. Liara can give them a duplicate creature. That is so bad for us. They're just gonna runner, Dragon's Fire. Survive that combat and get Devoted Paladin back into Rescuer Chwinga to get Liara back. Such a massive couple swings for them. They have to block here, and they might double block, and then we could make a comeback still. Because they have to block with at least one thing here. Alright, they're not gonna double block. Probably. Say if they double block, they can't do their double teaming with Liara later, which is a pretty big deal. But thanks to attacking, we get to cast our Steadfast Paladin and our Null Hunting Party, meaning if they don't find lethal here or get another top deck this turn, we probably have lethal on the crackback. Actually, no, they don't need another top deck because they get to double team. Although that's only if they attack with a creature. I don't know here. Okay, well now they don't have the mana to play anything they would double team. I guess they wouldn't unless they drew a land. Yeah, I think we actually win. I think we're good. If it's another like Dragon's Fire or something, they could survive the attack. Yeah, they can't attack. They can't attack. Oh my god. Oh my god, we're still in it. We draw another Steadfast Paladin. That's pretty sick. Just go for it. Make them have it. Show us the instant speed removal. Show us that they hit Dragon's Fire, Chwinga, and then Dragon's Fire copy 2 in these past 3 turns. We're killing Liara here. Even if they have the instant speed removal, we're losing a creature and they're losing a creature. And then we have another creature in hand thanks to double team. So even instant speed removal, I think we're still in the lead afterwards. Alright, yeah, the opponent just runner, excellent draws, but I think we are still in the lead here because we keep drawing solid draws. More creatures. Null Hunting Party was an excellent draw, but Steadfast Paladin was just solid. And just a land from our opponent that should end it. They just have a Cravings in the graveyard. They can attach as an aura. They already used their Gate to the Citadel. I think we got there in the end. It wasn't looking so hot there for a second, but still get there. That's going to be 2 and 1 now. All right, on the play here with an unkeepable hand. And we'll keep this one. Rabble Rousers on 2 is always really good. We'll get rid of the Reckless Barbarian. We have plenty of 2-drops to play already that are better. Opponent starts with a Plains of their own. We've got that turn 2 Rabble Rouser. Start rabbling. Start rousing. Send that in. But I believe I would rather cast a Steadfast Paladin this turn because it hits harder without spending mana into it currently. But next turn we can go Rabble Rouser and pump the first one. Priest of Ancient Lore. I wish everybody didn't open up 3 copies of Priest of Ancient Lore. I did open one, so I'm part of the problem, but it is an annoying card. Alright, well, it would have been better to just play the Rabble Rouser then, I guess. Because that can attack into a Priest of Ancient Lore well. Play this and hold up Dragon's Fire, or the Bathe in Gold in their end step if we don't need to cast Dragon's Fire. They're going to scry 1, draw a card. Pass here. If I Dragon's Fire Priest of Ancient Lore and attack with everybody and double pump the Rousers, we're hitting for 8 and putting them to 11. And also still just double pump the Rousers. I think I would rather just get playing this dragon. Wow. Well, drawing another Dragon's Fire makes me feel like it would have been mega fine to shoot that priest. Give it a single pump here. We can still afford the red dragon. Okay, and then next turn we just clear the whole board and send in all the damage we can. Just try to kill them before they get too far off all this card advantage they've accrued from their young blue dragon and their Priest of Ancient Lore. Kill them before they can make use of all the cards they've drawn. Yep, tap out for the blue dragon. Get out of the way. You know, we probably just let Paladin trade to Priest here. Actually, so we can Dragon's Fire their next creature that they play. Next turn, if we hit a land, we buff our whole field with Unicorn and Dragon's Fire their creature that they play and just kill them. Minimus Containments. Minimus Containments. Okay, well, we're doing great. Still pump a Rabble Rousers after a Priest. He's played. Double pump the Rousers. Yeah, I think we save this treasure for next turn. And just do a bunch of pumping next turn. Alright, Devoted Paladin, hello. Dragon's Fire does not kill you. Dragon's Fire certainly kills you, and I'm going to do that right now. Get out of the way, thank you. And I think we can find lethal here. We definitely do this. They block there, take 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's lethal. That's just straight up lethal. And that should be 3 and 1. Really good stuff from Rabble Rouser and Unicorn there. Those mana sync abilities really letting us find that last few bits of damage. Here we are now, game 5. Rabble Rouser on 2 again. Love that. Guess I'll be able to 0 mana Humiliation now. Or 0 creature Humiliation. Get out there, Rabble Rouser. We're gonna get some rabble in our hand. Cadibri, first strike, reach. If they get any equipment, she gets bigger, but we don't have to worry about her till they get equipment. We are probably going to have to humiliate or Dragon's Fire her just to let our 2 toughness and less creatures actually do something. Okay, well, I've changed my mind. We're just going to kill her here. Like, if they go for the block, I'll just spend the mana and get that out of here. No. They played me like a fiddle. Because, yeah, spending to kill her makes it so I don't commit more creatures to the boards. It's going to be harder to outrace, like, this Myconid here. Myconid is really obnoxious. I'm actually going to go ahead and blow it up with Humiliation. Should play Barbarian here, I think. then I humiliate the Myconid, which will not give them a sapling because it will have no abilities when it dies. And I attack in. Okay, that wasn't that bad because we had humiliation for Myconid, which is very good. There's a Dawnbringer Cleric to gain them some life. Still playing the defensive role pretty well here, not a fan of that, but they're stuck on 3 mana maybe? They're stuck on 3 mana, super happy to have killed that Myconid. Now we have the mana to double pump and kill Cleric, which I'm pretty okay with. I could attack with Barbarian, then if they block with Cleric and Sapling, I Dragon's Fire the Cleric to kill both their creatures. Play another 2-drop. Then I am, of course, out of removal in hand, which is a little sketchy, but I think it's worth it. To just clear their current board state. I was going to say, double block on Rouser would be weird, because that's not enough power to kill the Rouser. Okay, yeah, I was going to say, I could see a double block on the Cleric. Okay. Or on the Cleric, on the Barbarian. Okay. Go Steadfast Paladin because it attacks for the most damage without having to commit more mana into it. There's their 4th mana, and it's an off color. Really good draw for them. Yeah, they needed that color. Horde Robber it's going to be. 1/3 blocker. And still attack into that all day long. Probably would rather slam down 2 creatures than the 1 Singer. So we just attack first. If they block Rabble Rouser, we can kill Horde Robber. Just gonna not block at all. Okay, that's fine. We drop the Rabble Rouser and we drop the Barbarian. There's a Chain Devil. Alright, so we just sack, probably sack a Barbarian here. Rescuer Chwinga. Probably just playing 1 creature this turn. I want to attack first though so we can buff the Rabble Rousers. If they block with a 4/2, we'll spend 2 mana to buff the Rabble Rouser. Yeah. So we don't get to play Valor Singer this turn. Or, alright, trade with Steadfast Paladin, then we do get to play Rabble Rouser. Also double buff the Rousers to deal 8 to them. Deal 4 more damage to them or play a Valor Singer? I'm gonna play a Valor Singer. Ambition's Cost, that is really good for us. Draw a spell that costs them some life. They're just dead on board. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just pump the Rousers once, and they're dead. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They scoop them up. That's going to be 4 and 1 now with this Boros aggro deck. And now we're guaranteed to be at least breaking even out of the qualifier playing event. Cannot be too unhappy with that. $4,500 gems will be our prize, even if we fail next round. A little flooded here. Don't think it's worth a mull though. We do have the 2-drop creature, nice removal. Gotta draw well here. But mulliganing quite likely to get us a worse hand. Alright, here's the Barbarian, ready to trade for the Ghast. Okay, I'm not that ready to trade for the Ghast. I was like, if they held it up as a blocker, I'd be ready to attack into it, but... Ooh. Giant fire beetles. I'm going to blow you up. That's what I'm going to do. Alright, just offering to trade in case our opponent wants to not get their double team value. No, don't reveal a freaking dragon card. Can I just play a 2 mana 3 damage? There we go. Ambitions cost. Opponent drawing 3, losing 3 life. They're going to be far ahead in card advantage, and our start is not aggressive enough to take that much advantage off of them doing that. I can just play a young red dragon here. And pass. I have the You Hear Something on Watch as a trick to save a Reckless Barbarian from the Shambling Gas now. Oh, and now I could save both creatures. I guess they could have Shambling Gas kill the red dragon now. Steadfast Unicorn's the draw. I can Rasad the Rabble Rouser and Unicorn in the same turn. I think I'm going to do that. This Imp is going to get some value this game, that's for sure. Scry to the bottom it is, and we'll pass turn. It'd be fine to trade into the Imp. I don't think it'd be great, though. Again, with our hand. Wand of Orcus. We just lost the game. No, we didn't. What are they holding up here if they don't just equip Wand and hit us for 2 with Imp? What on earth are they holding up that they don't want to do that? Because they could equip Imp, attack, and get 2 untapped 2/2s on the board. Because we can't block with our red dragon. I don't know what they're holding up, but I live in fear. I mean, I guess we can Minimus Containment the Wand now. Since they didn't just, like, immediately slam us with it. That's gotta be the play, right? Their plan is to shoot Rasad and get Rabble Rousers back out of nowhere? Maybe? I don't know. Send in Barbarian and Dragon here for the You Hear Something on Watch trick and just see what they're holding up, and then just Minimus Containment post combat. That is the only block they're gonna make. Okay, that is fine. Let that happen. I'm actually just okay letting Barbarian die. Completely changed my mind on the You Hear Something on Watch, because now I'm worried they can somehow get rid of our Minimus Containment, and then we'll need to blow up the Imp when it tries to attack. Should play it real safe here. Is it just like Dragon's Fire on Rasad? Sewer Plague on Rasad, basically. Alright, that's fine. We're not like really in a massive lead. We're definitely not losing anymore since we dealt with Wand of Orcus. Pretty even. Maybe a slight advantage to my opponent, because Rabble Rouser is very good. Just don't think I'm using my You Hear Something on Watch right now. I guess, you know what? No, this is really good to do. Because we're going to soak up some of their mana, and then we can just You Hear Something on Watch in response. And now they don't have red mana anymore. They might have to sack the wand if they want to play that next Rabble Rousers. This seems like a fine way to use this, to leverage this against them. Just some value here. Because now we're killing the rabble-rousers and soaking up some of their mana. Which seems okay to me. Yep, so now they have to sack the wand. Sack the treasure, they lose that treasure for later. On board, I think we're outracing them a tiny bit. Probably better to play Barbarian and hold up Guiding Bolt than to buff for 1 more damage. Cast down the unicorn. Okay. You got it. Guiding Bolt's probably just gonna get us killed in this matchup, because if we have just a dead draw, that just puts us down a card for the game, where if this were just like a 2-mana 2/2 or something, still have an impact on the game. So if Guiding Bolt is never cast, then main decking Guiding Bolt could very well have just cost us the game here. It's not looking good. We're out racing on board, but they definitely have more removal. Pretty good sealed pool. Double Sewer Plague here. We're just dying on board. Losing the race now. Okay, well, let's not give them a treasure at least, but that's pretty bad. All removal in the end here. Rabble Rouser's very good. If it can last, if it can survive. And they hit the mountains, they can double pump their Rouser to make it 3 power, and they just have another cast down? What the heck? Cast down, Sewer Plague, Weaponry, Sewer Plague, cast down number 2. 2 cast down, 2 Sewer Plague, and a Weaponry. Brutal. I guess you got it, opponent. 4 and 2, most likely. We have to chump block here. Jesus Christ. And more removal from our opponent, and it does 2 damage when they cast it. You got us. 4 and 2 it is. That is going to end the qualifier playing event, and I am not going to play it again because I do not want to. I don't like competitive sealed that much, and also I don't have too much time. I got stuff to do. I got a life outside of Magic for sure. So 4,500 gems is going to be our reward out of the qualifier playing event today. Can't be too unhappy with that, but the last round was pretty frustrating for sure. Guiding Bolt being main decked was actually a really big deal there. If it were literally just, I guess, what would we have main decked instead of it? Because would it have actually mattered that much? Like we would cut Guiding Bolt for some random red or white creature, maybe improvised weaponry. Yeah, I guess improvised weaponry over Guiding Bolt would have mattered quite a bit there because we could have killed that imp that game. So, who knows? Maybe main decking Guiding Bolt cost us the last round. I don't know, but 4 and 2, pretty respectable record against the competitive metagame you're going to get in qualifier playing events. So, pretty happy with the run overall. Definitely happy to get all of my gems back out of it. Get 4,500 gems here. But yeah, that is going to end today's video, and that is going to end this round of the qualifier playing events. There will be another one next Friday, right before the qualifier weekend, and I will be playing in that one as well. That'll be a best 2 out of 3 qualifier play-in. So excited to do that one. And maybe with best 2 out of 3, we give our deck a couple more chances to get those sick aggro curve outs if we play like the same deck. But we'll see. As always, thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.